Namaste, everyone. ChristianRLong, life enhancement consultant, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Saturday evening. It's about a little past 8 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time here in Denver, Colorado, drinking everyone's favorite drink of all time, LaCroix. And a friend of mine just clarified that LaCroix means the cross. I don't know why I didn't know that ahead of time, but here we are. Salute. Andrew Reynolds bringing the heat. What's up? Namaste. How are you, my friend? Hope you're doing well in New Jersey, keeping it real. Jumping on real quick for you guys that check out these streams regularly. We talk about energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. We are not talking about my extra fuzzy, poofy hair today. I don't know what's going on. It's been all over the map. But I was talking with a new friend today who I met at the Arhatic, Rachel, Namaste, that I met at the annual Arhatic Yoga Retreat in San Diego. I'm starting to mix them up. In San Diego about 2 weeks ago. And funny enough, Minnie, Namaste, she came up to me and Lauralee, Namaste. She came up to me and she, we were having Jeanette, Namaste. We're having a little conversation, and I said, do we know each other? Like this, there was this familiarity, because there's something called when you're doing social dynamics with people. There's something called assuming familiarity, where if somebody walks up to you and they act like they know you, you're going to have a better connection with them, even if they're a complete and utter stranger, right? So it's called assuming familiarity. I've been practicing that for years because I'm a relatively open person, so I'm not very guarded. The way I talk with somebody the first day I meet them is typically the way I talk with somebody 5-10 years of knowing them, right? I'm pretty consistent and transparent in my communication style. So the way she talked to me was she was assuming familiarity, and I was like, "Do I know you?" And she goes, "Well, actually, I know you." And I go, "Well, how do you know me?" And I'm thinking maybe Facebook, maybe YouTube, maybe my website, maybe some healing circles that she's part of. And come to find out, she went to grade school with my ex-girlfriend from Mexico City. What a small world we live in, right? So she actually knew me through my ex-girlfriend, and they're still friends. They're still in touch with one another. But it's funny because Mexico City is the largest city in the world. I forget the actual number. New York City is over 8 million. So Mexico City must be, I don't know what, 9 million, 10 million. Actually, I think it's 11 million of the whole area, if my memory serves me correctly. But I could be wrong. Fact check that. Don't take my word for it. But isn't it funny, in a city with, millions and millions and millions of people, that you can run into somebody who knows your ex-girlfriend in that city, right? Isn't that amazing? It's phenomenal. And she was actually making a statement earlier today that you can run into somebody who lives 2 or 3 blocks from you, near, in the city, and then never see them again. Namaste. Isn't that funny? Because it's so big, and there's so much happening, and there's so many people that are going in and out of everywhere, that you could see that person once and then never see that person again, even though they live 2 or 3 blocks from you. Kind of cool. So, her and I had a conversation earlier today. I'm about to sneeze, but it's not coming out, so I'm waiting. Yeah. There we go. Much better. That was very refreshing. Not as refreshing as this LaCroix by now. So her and I were chatting last night, and she needed some help with a review of some techniques and exercises that we do in pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. And so I said, yeah, let's touch base today. And she picked the time. We ended up connecting. Ashley, Namaste. Good to have you actually on a live stream. It's been forever. And so I ended up waking her up it was kind of funny because today she started her 1 week vacation, so I ended up waking her up, and like a champion, she picked up the phone, she stumbled around, she was able to hit the FaceTime button, we were able to see each other, and we started talking. Javier, namaste, and I revealed the technique. Not revealed, it's not my technique, but I reminded her of the technique that we covered at the Hatha Yoga retreat in San Diego. So we're just talking back and forth. She's telling me about her background, what she did in Mexico City, what she's been doing in the United States. Very, very interesting, right? All the service projects that she's worked on. Like, I always like people to have an interesting story. And some of us have more interesting stories than others, let's face it, right? Some people live super mundane, boring lives for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years until they arrive safely in their grave, not really experiencing much of life. Then you have people like, Jim Morrison, and who's the other guy that played Jimi Hendrix. These guys died in their late to mid-20s, and they experienced more of life than most people experience in multiple lifetimes, right? Now, I don't recommend the burning the candle on both ends and, destroying your life, but getting out there and mixing it up is always a good thing. So, we ended up talking about our spiritual paths, where I came from, how I got into pranic healing, how I got into Rahatic Yoga, how I became a professional energy healer, and then she gave me her background, and she says, coming to her area, I don't know if it's Houston, I'm pretty sure it's Houston, is Eckhart Tolle. Now, some people say Eckhart Tolle, some people say Eckhart Tolle. I say Tolle because to me, I think it actually is Eckhart Tolle. I don't think it's Eckhart Tolle, but I could be completely and utterly wrong. But I thought it was funny that she brought up Eckhart Tolle, and we were talking about our spiritual paths, and when I learned of pranic healing, that was in 2003 in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Eckhart Tolle lives in Vancouver. And I remember when I was reading his first book, The Power of Now, which is the book I'm presenting to you guys this evening, when I was reading his first book, Paula, Namaste, this would have been in 2000, this would have been late 2002 that I started reading this book and listening to the audio program. And I don't know if any of you have had the chance of listening to Eckhart Tolle, but the dude is extremely German and is extremely monotone. Every single word he chooses is methodically calculated and properly timed, because he's all about being in the present moment. And it's actually interesting because he acquired his enlightenment. Elizabeth, Abba Namaste. He acquired his enlightenment or his illumination in bed one day, and he was sleeping in bed in the middle of the night. It's always in the middle of the night. Have you ever noticed that? It's always in the middle of the night. Weird. Why is that? Always between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Why is that? Interesting. Look into it. And in the middle of the night, he got sucked into, or everything that he thought he was, his personality and ego, got sucked into some hole, some portal. And then he remembers waking up in the morning, no pun intended. He ended up waking up in the morning, and he looked out his window, and everything, Erlen, Namaste, everything was super bright, super crisp, and everything was very focused, and the birds chirping outside of his window, the trees, the branches, the leaves, everything was crystal clear in his mind's eye when he reached his illumination or his realization. And then he spent, like any person who has obtained enlightenment, he spent the next 2.5 years, Jenny, Atma Namaste, sitting on a park bench in British Columbia near a lake and just kind of staring off into space, not contemplating anything, not having any mind chatter, not really feeling anything per se, but he was just in the bliss of existence. He was in the present moment. He was in the now. And then shortly thereafter, he said, okay, well, I guess it's time to teach. I guess it's time to go out and to reveal what it is that I've been experiencing the past 2.5 years sitting on a park bench. I think he was even homeless at one point. And he was just in bliss, man. So he ended up writing 3 books I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the third book. Christoph, but namaste. But this is his first book, The Power of Now, which is what I was talking with my friend earlier today about. She had never read his original book. She read his second book, which is also very good, called A New Earth. And the joke I always make about Eckhart Tolle is that he's the only guy that can write 3 books and have every sentence basically say the exact same thing and keep it engaging, keep it interesting, keep it palatable. Because what is he talking about? He's talking about being in the present moment. Being in the present moment. And what I like his take with females, because he says, women have a greater capacity to be in the now and experience the now faster than men because they have their monthly cycle, which is part of the collective pain body of women. So as being born a woman, Caleb, Atma Namaste and happy birthday, my man, my fellow Arhatic Yoga brother. So being in the pain body, tapping into that collective energy of being a female, you can use that pain as fuel to accelerate your spiritual growth and evolution. Interesting, right? Because what is the first thing that a woman wants to do typically when she's experiencing her monthly cycle? She wants to numb it, she wants to avoid it, she wants to not experience that pain within her because it's physically painful, it's emotionally draining, it's mentally exhausting, right? But he's saying all of those things are fuel that one can use to propel themselves into a greater experience of being in the now. Being in the now, being in the now. And I remember a good friend of mine, long time Arhatic Yoga practitioner and pranic healer, I was going through a very difficult time in my life. It was actually the most difficult time in my life then. That lasted about 3.5 years. I wish I was enlightened sitting on a park bench. That would have been way more fulfilling. And I remember sitting in his car one day in front of my apartment complex, and he said, "You know why you're lucky?" And I was like, "Dude, I feel anything but lucky. I feel like I can't take another moment of this pain and anxiety and suffering. Like I'm at my wit's end." And he says, "No." He says, "It's very good for you." And I said, "Well, why is this very good?" He says, "Because all of the pain, all of the suffering, all of the not so good thoughts and feelings that you're experiencing right now in your life, all of that is like coal. You have the raw material to turn all of those negative energies, to transmute them or increase the vibration of them and turn them into diamonds." I'll never forget that lesson. And there have been times after that point that I've had difficulties in my life. Physical difficulties, emotional difficulties, relationship difficulties, financial difficulties, all kinds of difficulties. But because of that lesson, I thought to myself, all right, I got some coal right now. Santa came this year. He came a little bit early and he brought me some coal. But I have this as an opportunity to turn this coal into diamonds. To be more illuminated, to be more realized, to be more humble, to be more compassionate to myself and others. So whatever the pain is, you can transmute it. That's why the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi that we use in the Twin Hearts meditation taught to us by Grandmaster Choa Kuktsui is so powerful. Pete, Atma Namaste, because you're transmuting hatred into love, doubt into faith, despair into hope, darkness into light, sadness into joy. So you're literally using will and love to transmute these lower, denser vibrations into the higher equivalent. Make sense? So whatever you're going through in life, any tough parts you're having in your life, celebrate them. Be grateful for them. a friend of mine shared a beautiful experience with me the other day. Was it yesterday? Yesterday. And she's a survivor of cancer. And she's very young. She's very young, and she's a survivor of cancer. And she says, the biggest blessing that I got from having cancer for about a year was gratitude. She says, not only was I grateful for the cancer, but my gratitude of the cancer alone cured me of cancer. And she does use the word cure. She doesn't like to use the word remission. So Ashley says, transmute, yes, but heal and position yourself first. So what do you mean by that exactly? Right? Because I don't want to make assumptions of what you're saying. So you say, transmute, yes, but heal and position yourself first. So you're going to have to clarify it, and then we can kind of talk about that and you know, go to another level with it. But transmutation, what allows transmutation to happen faster is with a big, open, loving heart. Yes, it is a process. It actually brings up an excellent point, because healing is not an event. Healing is a process. And the process can be very, very short, or the process can be over lifetimes. Right? So the more conductive, the more receptive, the more loving one can be, the faster that process is. The more awareness and understanding one has during their suffering, the faster the process. That's how you shorten the gap between where you are to where you want to be. But if you have a lot of negative, like, look at it this way, like here you are, here you want to be, right? The more negative pride you have, the lack of understanding you have, the lack of awareness you have, the lack of conductivity and receptivity, the lack of gratitude. Do you get what I'm saying? You're extending the space between where you are and where you want to be. But, Dinesh, namaste, but the more humility you have, the more good self-esteem, good self-image, good self-worth you have, the more gratitude you have, the more teachability and coachability, the more understanding you have. You're shortening that gap. This principle that I'm sharing with you guys right now took me about 15 years to learn. Think about that. 15 years to learn, and I'm sharing it with you guys in a few minutes. Not because I'm a great teacher, not because I'm more developed or more evolved than anybody that's listening to this live stream. It's because I have a great teacher behind me, a great system behind me, and I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to be consistent with my practice, so I have the awareness that what my teacher taught is accurate. Does that make sense? So being humble shortens that gap. The more negative pride you have, the longer it's going to take. And not only the longer it's going to take to bring you from where you are to where you want to be, but the more painful and the more suffering you're going to go through. How's that one? Does that work? So Ashley's saying, I'm speaking about people who have been through high levels of trauma. This can deflect certain people. It's not just about swallowing what has happened to you. For sure. For sure. It's not about repressing or suppressing or practicing self-dishonesty or self-delusion about what a person has gone through. The ability to have accurate perception and correct expression, the ability to have understanding of oneself and others is more important to move yourself forward. Oh, people misunderstand him, I think. It's funny that you say that. Ashley brings up another good point. She's saying that certain people misunderstand Eckhart Tolle, which is funny because his message is timeless. His message is beyond religion. His message is beyond the physical plane. It's a timeless message. And he says the same thing sentence after sentence after sentence over 3 books, audio programs, seminars that he leads. I remember watching one seminar. One of my friends attended one of his seminars and had a recording of that seminar. And I'm not even kidding you, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the seminar with Eckhart Tolle, he's just sitting and looking at the audience. Now, in our typical microwave society, don't you think that would drive a lot of people crazy? Because we're constantly looking to be stimulated every single moment. Right? We'll experiment. That's about 30 seconds. And collectively, the group, you guys that are watching the live stream now, many of you were emotionally very agitated. Isn't that amazing? This is a live stream for energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality of people looking to improve their lives with those topics, right? And all we did was spend 30 seconds of stillness, 30 seconds of not talking, 30 seconds of let's be in the now, present moment. And I can feel the group getting agitated, right? Because we're all connected. We're all one, right? As you do your spiritual practice, you can become more sensitive of not just your thoughts and your feelings, but you can be more sensitive of other people's thoughts and feelings, even if they're at a distance. Does that make sense? Because we're all connected energetically. We're all one energetically. So as I'm just sitting here looking at you guys and connecting with you guys and being present to you guys, I can feel the agitation. Like, when is he going to say something? When is he going to say something? When is he going to say something, right? It's so funny versus jump on in. Let's all practice oneness together. Let's all practice presence together. Let's all be still together, right? So, in that video, the first 15 minutes, when did I see that video? About 15 years ago. Mind you, I'm a namaste. About 15 years ago, I saw that video. And I remember watching it. And I was already a regular meditator of 4 years at that point. And I remember going, is he going to say something? What's taking him so long? Why does he keep staring at the audience? What is this guy's problem? He's a great spiritual teacher, and all of this mind chatter and emotionality is going into it, not because of him, but because of my own trauma, my own inaccurate perceptions, my own weaknesses, my own limitations, my own stuff. He, on the other hand, he's in bliss. He's just sitting there. For those of you who've been doing meditations for a regular period of time, and you've been able to find that sweet spot in your practice, you can literally sit still and do nothing for 30, 40, 60 minutes or more, because you're just in the bliss. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to accomplish. There's nothing to achieve. There's no one to impress. That's a beautiful, beautiful state to be in. And that's why he was able to sit on a park bench for 2.5 years in British Columbia and just stare off into the distance, because he's like in pure bliss. Beautiful, right? And that takes time. That takes time to develop. The more negative thoughts and negative emotions you have within you, the longer it's going to take you to be in the present moment, to practice stillness, to be in the now. So again, pick it up, get it on Kindle. If you like hard copies, you can do hard copies. Power of Now, it's a great book. You could read it now, you could read it a year later, you could read it 5 years later, you could read it 10 years later, and you will keep getting more and more and more value from the book. Very simple teachings. Again, pretty much every sentence in this book is the same thing, of pointing you at the now, pointing you at the transcendent, pointing you in the gap where everything is. It's kind of like for any of you who follow Esther Hicks, Abraham and Esther Hicks. For the past 40 years, the message has been the exact same. Focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want. That's the message. But because of that, she's written 8 books, been leading seminars and cruises and workshops around the world for almost 40 years, tirelessly giving the message for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, multiple day seminars, all to say the same exact thing. Focus on what you want. Don't focus on what you don't want. And that's where the whole concept of the avatar comes from. The avatars of the planet come from the heart of God of the planet. They come from the heart of God because man forgets the simple teachings that will help him evolve and prevent him from destroying himself and everyone else. So these avatars, Brandy, I'm going to say, these avatars keep incarnating for the purpose of reminding us of the very simple teachings, the very simple truths that we consistently forget. So the love aspect of God is where the avatars, the great teachers, the Buddhas, the Christ, the Bodhisattvas come from to remind us, hello guys, love each other. Hello guys, be in the present moment. Hello guys, have compassion for self and others. Hello, we're all one. It's very funny, right? Oh yeah, almost finished this LaCroix with you beautiful people from start to finish. So, that's our message for this evening. Hopefully you got value out of tonight. If you did, send it over to a friend on Facebook, put it on your business page, add value to other people in your network. If you are looking for healing, or you know someone who is looking for healing, and a better way that I'm going to start saying for you guys is if you're looking for transformation, because that's my specialty within pranic healing and Hatha yoga, is transforming people. And what I mean by transforming somebody, it's not bringing them from 0 to 50, it's bringing them from 0 to banana. Because a transformation is something completely different than what you could have possibly fathomed before. That's a transformation. It's the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. That's a transformation. Does that make sense? So that's my specialty. That's what I help people with. And apparently Ashley can't get enough of that joke. That's very good. So if you are looking for transformation, go to ChristianRLong.com/services. It's my name, ChristianRLong.com/services. And then for those of you who've been following us every Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, tomorrow we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be doing the Twin Hearts meditation and a group healing on Zoom at 10 a.m. This is the first and only time we'll be doing the meditation and the healing for free. And then all the following weeks, the meditation will always be free, and then the group healing will be a $25 donation. So whatever your conditions are, we're going to do a group healing on that condition, this condition, that condition, this condition. Make sense? And I've been called to do that, and several pranic healing masters and senior instructors have been saying, Christian, go out and do it. What are you waiting for? And I did it about 3 years ago pretty regularly, and then I stopped because I was working on other things, and now the whisper of the higher soul is getting louder and louder and louder. So we're going to be doing that. Leah, namaste. We're going to be doing that tomorrow at 10 a.m. The link will be available before 10 a.m. You guys just log on, click the link. It opens up the Zoom app. It's free. You access the meditation, stay for the healing. We'll produce some miraculous results with the blessings of God and the teachers, so be it. And if you have any questions afterwards, you can reach out to me. And I look forward to serving you guys. So that's it. This is Christian R. Long, Life Enhancement Consultant, wishing you a beautiful Saturday evening, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Atma, namaste. Bye-bye. Yes, my hair is very fluffy. Thank you.